Hello, everybody. Welcome to Rift Reload. We got a little bit of a late night episode today. Sorry for everybody who's been waiting to see the wonderful, the awesome Nano, but this is still Rift Reload, the place where you can come for anything Wild Rift. I'm still AlkBattery. We've got Smax with me. And as I said earlier, we've got Nano, coach of Cloud9. Nano, thank you for joining us. How are you doing today?
Yo, what's up? I'm doing as well as I can be today, I guess.
There you go. That's honestly, that's all we can ask for at any given day. So it's good to hear. Sam, how you doing, bud?
I'm doing great. I'm really excited to talk to you, Nano, and I'm also excited. I'm glad to be here on this podcast, but I am very excited to play more Ruined King after this. So,
oh yeah,
guys, got a pass.
That game looks insane. Yeah, that game.
It's
looks
really cool.
Fun. Yeah, it's actually
kind of jealous.
Underrated.
I'm kind of jealous now because I'm on the other side of the, like the podcast graphic here, and Nano's just looking longingly at Smax.
Okay, I mean,
and that's probably gonna happen at Mall of America the same way. So honestly, this is mostly just training. See, even Sam's getting into it. But since we have you here, just in case somehow, some way, anybody who's been watching Wild Rift in North America does not know who you are, give us a little bit of your background, just who you are in esports.
Okay, I guess right now I'm the C9 Wild Rift coach, one of two, right? It's me and Tabe Tapia, right? Mainly I focus on the drafting phase of C9, right? Macro, a lot of the in-game, related stuff. And yeah, I mean, for the most part I've been around, right? The scene in general, right? Mainly focus on helping individual players and other teams and such in the past, right? So yeah, that's mainly me.
Okay.
Sweet.
Yeah, so we had to do a little bit of digging, and obviously me and Sam know you a little bit from the PC amateur space.
Mm-hmm.
You still own Conviction, if I'm correct on that one.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, so you had a league amateur team called Conviction, and I went through the match history, and thank God for Leaguepedia. Leaguepedia saved me on this one. One of the earliest events. This was a big Season 2 qualifier 1. Okay. You have a top laner named Zello, I think. Mm-hmm. You want to talk about how you may have met your future Baron laner?
Yeah, so me and Zello go way back, right? We go way back. Basically I met Zello. I created a team of some sort, right? And he was among one of the players to join to join up for the team. I remember at one point we were doing a tryout between him and another top, right? I was a grandmaster, right? Whatever team, and there was a few other coaches who were trying to decide on what they wanted to do and who they wanted. I was the main proponent to have Zello because at the time he was a carry player, right? And I'm under logic. Well, he just has the best mechanics out of any of the players here, right? It doesn't matter this other guy or these other guys can play XYZ champions or be more defensive or whatnot, right? He just is better, right? At the time, though, once he joined the team, he was quite the specimen, right? To be honest, he was. There were teams that would not scrim us because we had Zello on our team. That happened, right?
Okay.
They would be no, yeah, we're good. But he's definitely changed and matured a lot now. So he's a lot better.
Is there any of that now in Wild Rift for Zello? Does he still
is he quite the gamer? It's quite the gamer.
I don't know, maybe in solo queue. I don't know, but in solo queue. But because there's a Reddit thread on him or something about how toxic he is in solo queue, but whatever.
Really?
Yeah, no, you can dig around for that one.
No, Nano. This is the anti. This is not the Cloud9. There's a Cloud9 PR member in my ear right now saying, "Shut it down." Shut it down.
Look, he's amazing. He's amazing. But yeah, no, he's definitely way better. Way better. So.
Awesome. So touching on Cloud9 a bit more as well, you like you just said, you're one of the coaches on Cloud9. Here is the announcement as well. You're right at the bottom there. That's pretty incredible.
Supporting the whole team on my back, huh?
Yep. You got everyone right above you. Amazing. How did the process go for you, getting from the Amateur League of Legends space onto a professional Wild Rift organization, and what was that all like for you?
Yeah, so I've mainly been kind of like throughout my tenure, a players coach, right? And what I mean by that is I gain connections with individual players a lot, right? So like I can ramble about like all the players like I've connected with in the space or in the scene, but there are a lot of individuals that are either playing in academy / LCS, one in EU, right? Who I've interacted with personally, right, and kind of gained that connection with, and that's kind of like where I've mainly been going from. Before the C9 roster was picked up, it was mainly goons, right? So what Zello actually was on the roster, and he asked me, "Hey, can do you want to watch some of our games, right? Help us be the coach, right?" So from afar, I was like, "Okay, yeah, I'll send some notes, right? Just watch some of your games, whatever, whatnot." I played Mobile Legends in the past, right? And I got pretty high in that, right? Just on my own time, right? So I was like, okay, sure, I'll play this game, right? And I got, so I was pretty decent at first, right? It seemed like, okay, yeah, I can pretty much understand what's going on, and it kind of one thing led to another, and it's like, oh, we're gonna do coaching tryouts for C9, right? So it was me, a few other guys, Pepe Tapia as well. Kind of like it was a really kind of awkward situation because it's like we're building the roster and we're doing coach tryouts at the same time, right?
Wow.
Which this is kind of like the whole thing with season 0, right?
Right.
For sure, as you guys know, like season 0 is just all what is our roster basically, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
So we decided like, oh, okay, we were like Nano, right? And Pepe Tapia, so we team went with that. Eventually we got signed, and then of course a whole bunch of different drama and issues. But yeah, that's basically how it went.
Wow. Okay. I noticed Sam that he very easily was like, yeah, I just got Grandmaster in this other game.
Yeah,
Wild Rift. We don't talk about what rank I hit in Wild Rift. Like
I don't look
D3 player. Like I don't know, man. Like can't be lower than the casters, right?
I don't play this fun.
Okay.
Playing like what? Diamond 3 or something, right?
Okay. Wait, I was
pretty good. Yeah, you were right.
Yeah, I guess, right?
And
I mean, I've played in like, as you guys might ask about in the future, I've played in like the C9 in-houses with, that we created with all the GM players, right? I've played in scrims recently, actually, but, so like, yeah, I still have a winning win rate overall when it comes to bot 2v2s against, I don't know, against our bot lanes in general. So,
nice.
Very nice. So I actually did want to ask you about the C9 in-house server because relatively recently, like within a month ago or so, you made it so it was public to all of the wildrift players just on the ladder in general.
Yep.
And this has been a system that you guys have been keeping up for pretty much all of 2022. I don't know if it was before that as well, maybe a little bit, but tell us a bit about how that all happened with you and what is pushing you to keep it going as well, because it's still like you still have games going every once in a while.
Yeah. So nowadays, it kind of the C9 analysis kind of took a similar trajectory as Champions Queue PC. It's basically the equivalent, to be honest. And what it was before, it was just within our players, we had a lot of complaints about solo queue and how we can practice things and what that actually means, right? How can we practice the things that we want to actually bring out in competitive in solo queue, right? Because solo queue is just such a different environment. And we would have false reads on champions, right? Because either the players they'd go into a solo game, destroy some emerald player, and it's like, oh, this champ is broken, dude.
Yeah,
that's the emerald player right there.
Yeah, right. So it's like, they play against one of you, and then boom, it's over, right? So I was like, okay, well, why can't we create something where we can have kind of like this central hub of players, right? And I know things like this has been worked on before, right? So one of the first people I've reached out to about this or like getting ideas for this is actually Iraqi Zero, because he had an in-house server for all this as well, and I wanted to dig into, okay, what went wrong there? What was like kind of the issues and why, and what he was part of. So he, sent out his support. He said his concerns about like, this is some of the issues with it, right? So at first, of course, whenever something's new, a lot of people jump in, right? So our first day, just, I don't know, 50 huge, different players, right, playing at the same time, right? And it was even more impressive than like our most recent like revamp, because at the time we only invited players that were on teams, right, for the most part.
Yep.
So we had generally half of the competitive player base, right, playing in houses at the same time, and the games were great. Of course, right, as things kind of lose that novelty, right, people tend to stop queuing. You have the same like debates or whatnot. Should we allow this, or what type of rules? How should we manage it? Dueling, so and so. So, yeah, right. You kind of derailed from there.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's only recently been public, right? It's been since February 26th, if I have my screenshot correct. Before that, like you're saying, it was private. It was like you had to either get like heavily vouched in, or you need to be on an actual team competing
on a team
in Summoner Series.
or heavily vouched, or something.
Exactly. And I like the comparison to Champions Queue, because if you're a PC player and you watch the LCS, you watch North American Competitive, Champions Queue is basically an in-house server made for people that are on LCS Academy teams, and I think it's
top
Sam,
16
correct me if
amateur.
I'm wrong, top 16 amateur. Okay, perfect for that. So a lot of just like the best in North America are able to play. There's a cash incentive at the end. This, and I didn't even think about like the Champions Queue perspective, but like I was thinking of like our League Amateur, like we don't actually have an in-house server, to my knowledge, at least, for League Amateur. So we were gonna compare like what the success of the Cloud9 in-house server was to like being in amateur, like how has it been so far, and what do you think are some of the things that are driving at least some of the success for it compared to playing on PC?
I think with this compared to PC, I think the wildrift community in general is very tight knit, right? So that helps a lot, right? Where there isn't, for the most part, right, I guess there isn't much animosity between teams, players, right? There isn't much of that type of like super rivalry, right? A player on Tribe, for example, is very cordial with a player on C9. They can play analysis together, to talk to each other, whatever. Same with Immortals, etc., and all these other teams, right? So it's really easy to kind of get a collective, mindset from most of the community, and I think that's is, compared to PC at least, is really helpful for this. So,
yeah, there's no extensive blacklists for everyone yet.
I guess, yeah. Right, not everyone hates each other yet, so
We're
I mean, it's good. You don't see each other in solo queue. You're usually playing against like the casters and stuff.
That's true.
Like,
That's true.
this is perfect.
That's
you can't.
true.
I can't be like, man, old school's running me down in solo queue. I just be like, Fart Blaster 69 on Wild Rift is destroying me. I guess I'm gonna go play in houses instead.
Isn't the best practice,
Let's go. That's what I like to hear.
Well, that's really good, because we're all gonna be hanging out in Minnesota in a few weeks as well. All the top players and everyone, and that'll be really cool. Good to know that no big brawls will happen there.
Yeah. Oh, thank God. God. I don't have to think about all the players like.
Angus would win.
We're gonna have apparently there's gonna be some sit down. I'm looking forward to that. So talking about Cloud9 a little bit more, how did this roster get to be? So obviously Zello was the first announced player on the team. And then eventually the whole thing got filled out. It took us a while before we got an official announcement. Looking at you, Cloud9. How did you guys settle on this group of players for this year?
Okay, so for this year or for last?
We'll say this year.
A bit of a combination of both.
Yeah, because I was like, last year's a story. That's like a 30.
We can we'll get to last year like a little bit later on, but this year specifically, I know because you guys brought in like a pretty hefty core from last year.
So we for the most part, like we kind of decided what do we want to do with our core, right? And like who is that core for us? What we kind of decided after like talking to everyone and talking to ourselves as coaches is that we wanted to have like a new look in the bot lane, right? So we hosted tryouts for bot lane pretty extensively. There are a lot of players that, of course, even watching now, that did try out for our team that people even know about, right? And we tried out a bunch of different options, right? For the most part, right? So once we got to kind of school in Selma, what it really was they wanted to play with each other, for the most part, and there were other options that we kind of saw, right? most of them had the issue where it's like either we like the support, but we don't really like this AD, right? We like this AD and we don't really like the support. It was mainly finding those type of combinations, right? And School and Selma kind of came in as like, we want to play together, right? And we want to try and make that push to be the best, right? So it kind of just fit.
Yeah, that makes sense. They had some time on the enemy roster very briefly together after the swaparoo for Tribe.
Yeah.
Makes
So
sense.
Yeah.
It also having the experience of going to Horizon, right? Together, kind of built that as well. So
yeah, so Selma was the sixth man, right? Like he
he
were
was
brought on. Okay, so they were brought over to Singapore when they played, so that makes sense. That I always forget that they have a six man because they never.
They never like show that,
exactly,
right?
Exactly.
But Selma was there throughout the whole thing.
Yeah, I do remember that now. That makes sense. Sam, we've got this is the one that you're really eyeing up, talking about the champion diversity.
Yes. So
okay.
I really wanted to talk to you about what you guys have as like a process of putting new champions into your drafts that people find like unorthodox. You don't have to get into any specifics that we haven't seen already, but you guys are innovating with things like Singed Mid, which I really liked recently, by the way.
Agreed.
The Soraka mid, the Marksman in the jungle, like all of this really cool and unique stuff that you're bringing to the table. What is the inspiration that like draws you into bring these new picks onto your drafts? Like, is it the player led? Are you looking at the other regions around the world for this? Like, what is the process there?
Okay, yeah. So it is pretty interesting. I'll say this, but I do have time, right? Like afterwards, right? So you can extend this for as far as you need to go, right? But so it's two-way, right? So mainly from the players, right? They're very open-minded players, right? And we kind of create that type of environment where we want to be open-minded, we want to be, right? Kind of push the strategy of the game further than it can go. We spend, contrary to popular belief, I guess, we spend a lot of time watching VODs of other regions, right? Teams and such. Like we sit in a group, and I'm sure a lot of the other top teams would do the same, right? Sit in a group, watch a VOD, discuss what do we think about the drafts, what do we think about their gameplay, right? And many teams, I'm sure, have come to different sentiments of what they believe, right? Either you can see kind of, I think one of the biggest strengths of NA is how broad we are, right? When it comes to our strategies and different play styles, right?
Yeah.
Our team is quite different than the other teams, right? In league, just how we operate, right? And how we play the game and such. And I think that's a strength, not a weakness. But when we watched other regions, what our kind of conclusion was, we were actually somewhat unimpressed, to be honest, about a lot of things about their gameplay, especially strategically. We think they're quite close-minded when it comes to drafting, and they're kind of strategic mind, which is generally an Eastern quality, actually, in games like this. So when we come around and we kind of judge most champions in the game, and we have a conversation like, not what is the best meta champion that we can pick, right? What is the best champion that we can pick in this spot? So for us, it's not really as simple as, oh, I think this is a cheese, or we're going to try to cheese to win. This is a lot of the time what we genuinely believe is the best champion in this spot and draft, right? Not as simple as like, oh, we want to just pick something different just to pick something different, right? So yeah, it's kind of like a two-way thing, right? Where I'll propose something, right? The players will practice in solo queue, or they'll propose something. We'll constantly have meetings about that and try to figure it out, and then break that down into what exactly we're going to play for tournament days and such, and pull that out. I'll say there's a lot of things we've played that we haven't pulled out yet.
Thank God.
All in
Yes,
these majors.
That's what I want to hear.
Which is also like part of it as well, but I'm sure we'll be able to talk about that more. So, but yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, we'll also hopefully see it in action in Minnesota too. So that'll be the best way to prove it, I'm sure. Whose idea was the Singed Mid? Was it Meals? Was it you, or was it somebody else?
That was Meals. That was completely Meals.
Let's go, Meals.
So that was Meals, yeah.
Yeah,
so it's really good. I really like it.
Yeah. So it basically, I mean, I don't want to like go into too much depth about like how our
Sure.
drafting
Yeah.
process works, right?
Sure.
But basically it was more of a thing where I wanted a response to X champions, right? So I wanted a response to X champion class and X draft class, if that makes sense, right?
Sure.
And the classic response that other teams would use, we weren't fully comfortable using it, right? Or at the time, right? So kind of I'm explaining to them, I need basically, right, an AP bruiser of some sort, right, in this type of spot that can do this, right? What champion can you bring to me that can do this, right? After having a lot of discussions, it was Singed, right? And he says, I can do this with Singed. I was like, are you sure? I'm like, yeah, this shit's broken. So we played it in the scrims. He carried the game, and I'm like, okay, well, well, is this a real champ or and he's like, yeah, I beat everything. I mean, there's no counters.
There's no losing matchups mid, so might as well.
We have our draft docs and stuff, so I try to like put it in a doc and like, okay, so when would I pick it? What's the counter? It's like I don't know. I mean, pick it against everything.
They're not in the game yet. The counters to Singed mid are not in the game yet, so we don't got to worry about them.
Right. So, but yeah, that that's kind of how things like that come up, and also with that brings up other issues as well. That arise in our team too. Which I'm sure we'll be able to talk about. But yeah, so it is something.
That's gotta be exciting though, at least, to be like, we're not only like trying to do the most meta champions, because that limits you, right? Like you're just trying to pick from a pool of, let's say, like 3 or 4 champions in any single role, and then trying to just play like, okay, let's just open up our roster to like 110 so champions and see what works. There's no way anybody outside of like Cloud9 has like practice against Singed mid. Unless you're really in the lows. You gotta be you gotta alt account, playing an iron, ready to go.
We do our digging. So Singed mid has been played in China, right? We do have we watch those VODs very extensively of like how they function and what they build, right? Stuff like this, right? So there is like stuff there, but I will say we looked for those VODs after we figured out we wanted to play Singed mid, just to make that distinction. Watch those VODs and say, oh shit, it's ragged. No,
Singed, bro.
So.
Yeah, that's awesome. That actually ties into one of the mailbag questions that we have. If we wanna get into just that one, it's on topic here, so at least we can do this one right now. We got a question in our Discord server. Real quick, if you're not in the server, definitely join it. There's a mailbag text channel where you can ask us questions whenever the next episode is going live, depending on who our guest is. We got 2 of them that are I thought were really interesting. One of them, this first one, is from someone whose name is spelled very strangely, but I think I figured out that it's pronounced Epsileska. I apologize if that's wrong. But Epsileska asks, which region inspires you when practicing and executing some strategy, which I know you talked about a little bit, but they also then ask, do you pull anything from PC League of Legends and then adapt it to Wild Rift? So like, do both games influence your practice and everything? Is
So it's an interesting question. So we look a lot to all regions, right? About different strategies and such, right? What they do, how they draft, how they play, right? There isn't one particular region where it's like, oh, we like how they play the game or how they approach the game, right? And we want to copy them. To be honest, I see them as a lot of the time quite similar in how they function with things, right? Korea and Southeast Asia, or depending on the Southeast Asian teams / mini region, right, are quite similar in a lot of ways. China has its own spin, but it's really, it's not all too crazy, right? And of course, there's no point in watching Europe, right? That would only make you worse.
Agreed.
So
true that.
That's very true. PC League as well. We do utilize that a lot actually. For a lot of our analogies and kind of understanding the game to a further depth. It just feels like it's an extra pool of knowledge and base that you can use, right, for VOD reviews and such, to say, we can take these concepts of either macro understanding or even champion picks as well, right, and implement that into our game. we are provided as well with the C9 PC team slots, right? When it comes to scrims,
Yeah.
so we do utilize those as like, hey, how did they communicate? What can they do? What can we implement from them into ourselves, right? Of course, that would be one of the inspirations behind Soraka as well. If you know,
Yeah, of
I'll take
course.
that.
See?
Yes.
Yeah. Yes.
So yeah, there's a lot to pull from, right? Of course, right? Like everything in the game is in our eyes playable, right? As well as everything is counterable as well, right? There's no such thing as like an absolutely broken champion that can't be stopped in some fashion or form. I don't believe that
Except Singed.
fully exists, right? Except okay, well, I was over exaggerating on Singed. I was just
Yeah,
right.
okay.
Of course, there are things that can stop it. You can't just blind pick it first pick every game, right? But yeah, right. There are there's a lot more variety in the game than I think is let out for.
Nice. Wait, okay, so you mentioned that you have access to the C9 PC scrims. Does that mean that you are playing PC League, or are they playing Wild Rift, or are you just watching them?
You're just watching. No, it'd be like you have access to
What?
their.
Yeah, no, we scrimmed them in Wild Rift. Yep,
there you go.
Yeah, you got it.
Look,
That's what I wanted to hear.
There you
I
go.
want the
There you go.
mental image of Fudge just like hulking over a phone. That's what I want.
Immortals had like their video piece where it was like Hoon versus Power of Evil, and that did not go well for us. I'm not gonna lie, we got absolutely
Really?
turbo. Yeah,
I
Hoon
did
got
not
blasted.
see that. What?
Hoon got blasted on Ari on PC. It was hilarious.
Oh, on
to watch. I'm not
PC,
gonna lie.
okay.
Yeah.
Well,
They
I
played
mean,
like
yeah.
They swapped games like Power of Evil didn't know how to like use his flash in the game, so he just like did like the max range flash like Annie for 1v1. It was great. It was good stuff. Watch it after this. It's
That does sound
one of the
really
better
fun.
pieces of content I think for cross genre
that's
stuff.
pretty cool. Yeah, but no, we don't we don't scrim them or anything.
You
It's
guys
just-
added on to the 0-15 score that they had coming into quarterfinals.
Yeah,
Ooh.
I mean, we're basically their warm up for every match, and
Yep.
it's not looking good for them. That's all I'll say.
All right.
Like,
Good to know. Good to know.
Yeah.
Well, cool.
All right.
Mhm.
Awesome. As we get kind of closer to this, I guess we should just get our other mailbag question out of the way.
Yeah,
Sam?
yeah.
Mhm.
That sounds good to
Okay.
me. I'll
Okay.
read this one out. Oh, unless you want to.
Go ahead.
Dream. Okay.
Go ahead.
So, this is from Asami. He says, Nano, what is the best part of being Cloud9's coach, and what excites you the most? I want to know what you like most about your players, and also when you are replacing meals with me. And again, that is from
That's
Asami.
Asami.
It's Asami.
Next season, bro. Next season. It's crazy with Asami. There's stories as well. Asami is at one point a contender to be on C9 as well. Not this season, but in season 0. However, the issues with him wasn't actually too much even gameplay. It was trying to kidnap him from his parents. So there's a whole story with that. Pepe Tapia called his dad, and they like tried to call the police or something. It was
Oh,
it was a mess. So we really tried. We really tried. I'm not gonna lie.
So it's Asami's fault, is what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
Okay.
oh
But you know,
God,
so
this
once
sounds
he's
too serious to
once
joke
he's
about. Maybe.
unchained, once he's unchained, yeah, he'll definitely be needed at Icons will supplement. Yeah. But for the first part of the question, what is the best part of being CNC? I think, yeah. What's the best part is just kind of what I was alluding to before. How open-minded the players are, right? How much they challenge the status quo, all right, of the game, and kind of like that whole, yeah, that whole part of it, right? I think this is a special group that we're working with, right? That have like really good opinions on the game, right? Really smart players, and yeah, they just won't settle for being regular or whatnot, right?
Sure.
I think it's really cool.
Yeah. That's
Awesome.
really cool.
Mhm.
Tell me if I'm wrong. The first people that come to mind when I think of like trying to be like creative and outside of the box would actually be Meals and Old School. I don't know. When I think of like when I've heard about Old School and like stuff that like I've gathered from either his interviews or outside of that, he seems like really like in depth on like trying to find the best strategy no matter like what form that comes in. And Meals is, at least from the in-house server, that guy's a real jokester. So like, are those two kind of like, I know you were saying like most of the team is like looking to like push the boundary, but would you say that both of them are like kind of leaders in that kind of sense?
I think they definitely do it. I think most of our team is pretty equal when it comes to it, to be honest. The person who does it the most is actually Tarzan. I'll be, be fully frank. So it's kind of it is interesting because like there's almost no issue. This is a strength and weakness of our team, I guess I'll say. But there is no topics where all 5 players like fully agree on how to do things, right? When it comes to strategy, it's a lot of it's like I think this way, right? And then I agree with you and I respect that, right? But I also think this, and it has sparked really nice discussions, right, in our team. And I think, yeah, I mean, Meals, of course, right? Like he's always looking for his angle, right? To be honest, I think he just doesn't like playing meta champions. To be frank, that's kind of how it comes out. He's a bit different. I think he's just like meta champion, ew, right? That's really it,
Sure.
But and then for school, he's a lot more analytical about it, a lot more thoughtful about how he does things, right? He'll have really strong opinions about things, and then but even though one of the best things about him, right? Even though he'll have a strong stance on something, he'll never not want to try out your opinion or not want to like listen to what you're saying, right? He'll be like, I think this, right? But he's completely willing to have his mind changed, right, on the topic, which has happened, right, like on champions and such. And it's like, no, you are right. Like I do agree with you, right? Now that I see like your point of view, that's like really important for improving. So
he's a number cruncher, man. He knows like a bunch of weird notes that I have of like him knowing some like random number on any given champion. That's really cool. I'm glad that he's like keeping it open minded and at least finding some levels of success here on Cloud9, especially considering last year, kind of getting into it, you guys swapped out your bot lane every single major.
Yeah,
you had a new bot lane every single time. You guys are actually finding like similar success this year, like 3rd, 4th, I would say, amongst like the rest of the teams. What was happening last year? Like I know we're getting a little bit close in terms of time. Like if you want to give us like spark notes as to like what's going down, or
I'm good when it comes to time. Okay, we can keep going. Okay. But how to even things just a lot of things were just in motion, right, for the most part. So it wasn't as simple as like, oh, we just want to change our ball lane, right? Like a lot of the time, we really tried to like keep the same group, right? That was like the whole goal. But a lot of the time when we say we want a certain person, it was more of a matter of circumstance of why we had to change them than an actual it's not working, we have to change them, right? So like there's a lot of scenarios with that. Of course, like the players in question all know like their own different circumstances. But we, how many times? Hold on. For like the support position, we offered someone the support spot like 3 to 4 times, right? Saying we want you to be, let's say, our support. And circumstance was why it didn't go through. Than us actually saying we don't want like this player, right? If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So it was just it was just pretty hard. It was like kind of like a molding period, and we never really got to get to a point where we can like reach our potential. So that's really all of season 0 for us.
That makes sense.
Happens.
Yeah.
Was definitely tumultuous. But now you've locked in school in Selma. I absolutely love that duo for you guys. And I do have one more question that I got asked before. It was from one Esports TJ, fellow caster on the WNS. He is an old school simp, an old school stan.
Agreed.
And he wanted me to ask you when old school will be the biggest carry on the team every single time, because he believes that old school is one of the best players in the whole region.
I think he meant to say old school's in jail.
He did say that, yeah.
So
and here's a picture of Esports TJ right now.
Okay.
There you go. Imagine him telling you that old school's in jail. What are your thoughts on that one?
So he's saying like we should unlock Old School and like help him.
Yes, be the ultimate carry of the team.
I mean, we had a whole phase of doing that. I don't know if you didn't watch that, right? Or it worked out. So the answer to this question directly alludes to some of our strategic things going into Minnesota. If that makes sense.
That's fair.
Right.
Okay.
So I will say this: Old School is playing, for the most part. Old School is playing the champions and style he personally believes is best for the team. Right. And if it's like as simple as like, oh, I think should carry. We should carry through me. Many a times he has said the opposite, right? To be honest, not like, oh, he can't carry or something. It's just what we believe about the game, right? And what we believe is best. So, Old School is a very huge part of why we do things and why we play a certain way. But it's not as simple as like Old School's like so good, we're gonna play through him, right? I genuinely believe we can do a lot of things like with our group, right? I think we can do a lot of things that not really any other NA team can do, right? And we have the potential to do. Of course, like everyone will say that about their team, right? But I genuinely believe that, and we can play through any role, right? At any time, at any moment, right? And we want to actively push that. So yeah.
All right.
I'm glad. Okay, everybody, you heard it here first. It's not just the casters who think it. Last week we had Omo. He agreed. Bot lane is just not the role to carry gamers. It's just
if you want to say that, sure. If you want to,
it is an NPC role. Man, we're gonna misquote.
That is what I said.
Here we go.
Sure.
Perfect.
Okay.
That's a Smax quote right there. AD carry are the NPCs of the game. Yeah.
They're basically.
All right. Well, I hope TJ is satisfied with that answer. I will have to talk to him later, or he will pester you about it in Minnesota once we get there.
Of course. Let's hope so.
Well, okay. Even, going into Minnesota, Sam, you wanna lead this one?
I thought we were doing the Scryers Bloom. Are we doing Minnesota?
We can just touch on it real quick before we go into Scryers Bloom.
All right. Yeah. So Minnesota, Mall of America is where the WNS Regional Championships are going to take place in about 3 weeks' time. We'll all be over there and having a great time. Actually, I think 3 weeks from today we'll be flying back. So
yeah,
but
probably
around that time we'll be experiencing that in studio in person for the first time, live audience as well. Which hasn't even happened like for any event that North America has gone to, even internationally. There wasn't a live audience there, so it's going to be pretty incredible. We have the 8 teams that are locked in for that as well. I think we have the list of it somewhere, but Immortals, Sentinels, Tribe, Suzaku, Cloud9, Saint, Enemy, and Fun Havers. Ailish, excuse me.
Ailish. No Fun Havers. Feels bad, man.
They were close.
Pour one out for the homies, man.
Yeah, there they are.
Yeah, they are.
What are your impressions of the cream of the crop that we have here? What are you expecting?
What am I expecting?
Cloud9 number one. Cloud9 number one. Everything else, like let them shake out as they will.
Yeah. I think the tournament will not shake out the way it is expected to shake out. Is what I'll say, right? Okay. I think NA as a region is extremely competitive, right? And much stronger than it's given credit for. I'll say this for sure. And I think many of the teams here have a potential to do a lot more than what like they're expecting. Of course, like our team included, right? Of course, like we haven't really, I haven't really been able to talk about like how our season went, right? This season. So maybe we'll ask about that later. But yeah, I think we're going to be a lot better than we've shown, right? At the tournament, and I think it's going to be an extremely difficult and close tournament for any team playing, right? There is no, I'm just gonna cakewalk through this tournament. I'm just gonna, get this for free, and it's
gonna astro glide through it. We're good for
right. Our region, especially the upper echelon of teams, are really good, right? And yeah, it won't be easy, and that's how it's supposed to be, right? So.
Do you think there will be is there a difference for you anyway for playing with the guys on LAN? Because I think the last time the last time that this happened was for Summoner Series last year. I don't know, I don't remember the clip exactly, but I think you lost in some table tennis, if I remember correctly.
Okay, oh my god, dude. Zello?
That happened.
So
yeah.
Also,
yeah.
no. I'll say this. Let me comment on this.
Set the record straight. Okay.
So let me set the record straight. Okay. The clips were heavily edited.
Okay.
They were propaganda to make me look bad as possible. They're fake news. I'm saying that for sure. Every single good shot I did, they removed it, and all they showed was Zello being the greatest of all time. That's all they showed, right? I'm just saying.
Perfect. Perfect.
Right? We already agreed on our rematch. Zello could say whatever it wants, right? Yeah, but it was much closer than what it seemed. Okay.
We'll have not Cloud9 members on site with you just to make sure that the validity of this statement is there.
To be honest,
the witnesses.
The tournament, dude. That's all that we care about.
We come for the Wild Rift. We stay for the table tennis tournament.
This sounds like content. This sounds like something we'll have to do and set up the table tennis tournament for everyone. I think that'll be a good event.
I like this.
That'll be sick.
How many Wild Rift people or people in the space right now have you met in person?
Not many, to be honest, other than our own team. While we were at the last regional for Summoner Series, we had planned to meet up with some of the Immortals members, right? In IRL. But I think that fell through for whatever reason. I actually wasn't part of the planning process for that, so I don't know what happened, right? But yeah, no, I mean, I haven't seen much, so I hope to see a lot more while we're there.
There's going to be a lot of gamers.
Yes!
And again, if you want to take part in Mall of America, it's free. Just get there. All you need to do is somehow figure out a way to find Mall of America in Minnesota. And it's not hard. It's pretty close to the airport, I hear. And it's free seating. It's first come, first serve. So if you want to meet Nano and everyone, hopefully COVID compliant, giving out handshakes, fist bumps, elbow bumps, whatever you got to do.
Waves.
You can come hang out with a lot. Exactly. You can hang out with not only Cloud9, but some of the other great teams that are going to be there. So make sure you guys are out there. Should be a lot of fun. Now, Sam, we have two ways of going about this. We could do our Scryers Bloom, or we can let Nano talk about how well his team has been doing this year. We'll glaze over Major 1, obviously, because that one's a little bit of a stinger.
Let's talk about Nano while we have Nano.
Okay. All right, Nano. Let's do it. Let's talk about 2022 Cloud9.
Yeah, I mean, keep the questions rolling.
What happened Major 1, guys? Let's just let's get it out of the way. Already... Let's just come on, man. Rip the Band-Aid off. What happened? What happened?
Okay, so basically, we thought it'd be funny if we let that's it. We thought it'd be funny if we let our little brothers play one tournament. So we just passed our phone to our little brother, and said, "You can give it a crack," They tried. It was.
You let the Cloud9. You let the Church of LS play this one.
Yeah, we let them.
The team at the same time.
Shoot one.
The congregation.
Okay.
In reality, we have. People are not gonna like this. We have, in general, kind of a slightly altered point of view on a lot of the majors, right? We did not come into most of the majors with, this is what we're gonna play. These 5 champs, we're gonna, really try to win this major. That's the goal of this, right? We have to win this, right? Of course, that's what we're gonna do for the regional, right? Because that's the most important tournament of the year. But for Major 1, our team a lot of time has very either opinionated or very players that have a certain way of playing, right? The time in which we had, because we had a lot of breaks, we didn't scrim constantly with the team before Major 1, right? The time that we had before the tournament wasn't that much with the actual group, right? The actual team, because we hadn't even confirmed a roster till not too far before the major. So kind of figuring out how we wanted to play the game as a team, we were still in the middle of that process, right? Going into Major 1, right?
Sure.
So it's not like we couldn't have done better. Yes, we could have done a lot better, right? And of course, like that always sting. But the teams we played against at that time were better. They played better. They had a more ideal way of how they wanted to play the game out, right? And we just weren't ready. So yeah, it happened.
That makes
Alright.
sense.
Mhm.
So, what happened at the most recent major then, where you guys?
Major 3. So
Yes.
contrary to Major, sure. Oh my god, guys! I mean, what a surprise! Contrary to Major 1, right? Like so, I'll say like for Major 2, for example, right? We had a better, I guess, performance, right? But it was still underperformance in our point of view, right? If you go back and actually watch that series, it was a very one series by us, right? To be able to play. And I think we would have done by our scrim results at that time, right? Which are generally always good. We would have done pretty well if we were able to go further in that tournament as well. But kind of going to Major 3, we did have intention to actually do well this time. Like we were like, all right, guys, it's time to, to try, right? It's time to try no more scaling.
Oh,
thing.
yeah.
Um,
Okay.
Because like our whole mindset is like, we want to do more than just win right now, right? We want to be as well developed, as well, constructed of a team by the regional. That was the goal from the start, right? So it wasn't as we want to win every major, right? We want to, if we lose on the way to become better at the end, that is the whole goal, right? That is more important to us than winning Major 1, winning Major 2, right? But we said probably a good time to try and win Major 3, right? Is what we wanted to do. So we played all these strategies. We started like really clicking into gear, and we played more tournaments or whatnot. No shade, right? It's a super amazing team, by the way, right? I'm about to talk about. They're really insane team. But shortly before Major 3, we actually played Sentinels in the Team Liquid tournament, right? In a best of 5, and we were able to beat them there shortly before the major.
That's true. Yeah.
Not many people really know about that because it wasn't streamed, right? And they're a really good team, right? So we're coming into major like, yeah, we just played them. We're able to, to do really well, and it's like, I think we should be able to come into this tournament and do well for ourselves, right? But one of the issues that we came across in our most recent discussions and meetings that we had kind of identified is we started to do a bit too much as a team, right? We started practicing really almost every strategy under the sun, and that was more of a thing where it's like we could do anything, right? And these teams only have like 1 or 2 ways they can play. We have all of this, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we're playing that style, this style, right? All this different stuff. I mean, really any style you can say, we played it, right? Shortly before the major. So we would have, or this day we're going to practice this style, and that day we're going to practice that style. And then, all this different stuff. So we came into major with this whole book, right, of strategies, right, for Major 3. And what happened, to be truthful, is like, of course, we were slightly overconfident in ourselves is what really happened, right?
Mm-hmm.
And of course, that's also like I take fault for that. There's no one that doesn't, right, take fault for that as well, right? It's a collective. So we came in and we were more or less like having the idea it's okay. We don't want to pull out all of our strategies, in the early rounds of the tournament, right? We want to,
Only Jace Jungle.
play something solid, right? I mean, you could consider Jace Jungle to be a crazy pick, I don't know, right? It depends on perspective, right?
I like Jace Jungle. I like Jace
Jungle. For us, it's as common as Lee Sin, right? So
yeah.
For our perspective, how we see things, right? It's not a crazy pick. We came in and it was like, okay, this should be, we play. You could go ahead and retrack a draft. We played what we consider to be, all right, this is supposed to be some standard drafts. We're a good team. You guys should just win standard drafts, right? Go into the next rounds and we can play our, go deeper into our bag, right? And what occurred throughout the tournament is we kind of had this kind of dichotomy between should we play X versus what is standard, right? What is that anymore for our team? What is the go-to for our team anymore? Because we can play all this stuff and we still have all this stuff that we can't do. So it kind of became almost like of a mid-tournament identity crisis, right? For our team in a some sort of way. I'm just being honest, right?
Yeah.
So we come into our final matches and we like kind of eke by, and it's harder against extremely good, especially individually,
Sure.
right?
Yeah.
So if you don't play, the main difference between teams that are not considered to be top teams, right, and like the middle of the pack, I guess, if you want to say that, right? The main difference is team play. It's not really just like, oh, we're just individually better, right? There's a lot of really good individual players in NA, right? So when we don't have a strong identity of what we want to do ourselves, right? There's no team play gap, right? Even though we can say, oh, this team that we're losing to, we beat them 2 days ago and 5-0 them. Like, it doesn't matter, you know? It doesn't matter at all, because once you come to the moment, we weren't able to execute what we thought we knew, right? So yeah, that's kind of how Major 3 just kind of rolled out for us, right? We talked about it after, and it's like, yeah, we're doing too much. I know we can do everything, but let's
what's reasonable? Yeah, like what's reasonable to expect, right? Like, you could have the entire chef's recipe book where it's like every single strategy, like you're saying, in the entire world that you can play. But at a certain point, there's like, players are humans. They're not going to remember every strategy perfectly. There's like overload where if you're playing all these different champions, there's a ton of bleed over where you're just like, was this what we're supposed to do? Like, in this strategy, how close is this like similar to like XYZ? And like you're saying with the identity crisis, like, if you don't have a foundation to like come back to like ground yourself, you kind of just turn into like weird mismatch of like all these different kinds of like personalities and things. So that's I'm hopeful for you guys that we get this cleared up by Mall of America, because it sounds like you guys it sounds like you guys have a lot of talent, right? Like, you guys have a lot of talent, obviously, that we talked about. Even speaking with like Iraqi, one of the things that he said that I think is very much in line with what you were saying is the gap between like the top, let's just say, like, for arbitrary reasons, top 4 teams and everybody else, for like a majority of it, is just team play. At a certain point, the better team, the franchised orgs, and you guys, and like enemy and stuff, you guys know how to play macro at a certain point, and those teams do not. They know how to play like first 5 minutes, call it a day, great laning phase, and then game's done. And you can watch it in a lot of your games, in a lot of like the top 4 teams. You have to go like really low in North America for it to then be like, okay, we're hands gapping kids in the middle of the game.
So exactly, right? And like, there's no one, especially at the when we go to Mall of America, there's literally going to be no team that you can hands gap anymore, right? It's not, you can't just go out there and play and say we're gonna win, right? Because we're better. It doesn't exist anymore, right? So now it's really just locking in, and you go back and see one of our, like, when we played better against teams like this that weren't as good as macros, when we just played like the qualifier into Major 2, right? I don't know if you guys remember that at all. We won the qualifier to get into Major 2, right? And for that tournament, we were just like, okay, we have a lot of things we want to practice and stuff. We don't have anything for sure. This is like more the building portion of this. We're just going to play strong side bot the whole tournament. Sure. We're just going to play aggro comps, Nami, Thresh, every game, right?
Yes.
And we're just going to walk through this tournament. And that's what happened, right? We lost, okay. It wasn't like easy,
It was you guys versus Saints in semifinals. I remember that.
Yeah, we lost 2 games to Saints in semifinal neutral. But like, still, it's like, it's like they're a good team, right? You can't just easily walk through. But again, it's more or less it's more or less understanding, like, once you have an identity, and I think that's one of the strongest things about teams like Tribe, Immortals, and Sentinels, where they can play like a bunch of different stuff as well, right? But they have something they can just go to, right? And it's like, we need to win now, right? We need to win right now. What do we play to win right now, right? We lock this in, right? And it doesn't even matter if you know what those picks are, right, beforehand, that they're going to lock in. They'll lock it in and still play well. Our team didn't have that, right? We didn't have we're down 0-1 in the series that we have to win right now. What are we locking in, right? That was a lot of our problem, right? And we had a lot of discussions about that, right?
What's our go-to? We know we can win like 90% of our games on
this. Exactly.
So,
right?
That makes sense.
Makes sense.
And we're missing all of that.
Okay. I like that.
Sweet.
There was something in there that I'm already blanking on, which hurts, because I like the point that you had somewhere in there, and this is gonna haunt me. I'm gonna watch back the VOD. I'm gonna know exactly what I wanted to say, but that's for future me to worry about. I'm looking forward to you guys coming into Mall of America. I think the WNS Regional Championships, like you're saying, should be a really close tournament, especially with the teams that we've gone through. I think even looking back, right, like you guys versus Saints all the way back in coming into Major 2, they still ended up qualifying, right? Like they made it to the tournament alongside you guys. So
yeah.
Exciting stuff. I'm looking forward to it. I'm sure Sam is.
I
Everybody
am.
in Twitch chat who's here to support Nano probably going to be doing the same. Sam, we've got a fun segment here for you, Nano. We do this every episode. It's called Scryers Bloom. So we present you 2 different ideas that we've come up with, and you're going to be, you know, the deciding vote as to whether or not it's good or grief.
Okay.
So, Sam,
Or
take us away.
if you like them both or you hate them both, you just have to determine which one of us is more right.
It's less bad.
It's less
bad.
okay.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed.
So, I'll kick this off. So, in my personal opinion, the 80 carry itemization is really good, and I think the Stormrazor does add another element to it. But on most marksman champions, I think that it is better to rush Infinity Edge and then build Stormrazor afterward, if you're going to build it at all. I think Infinity Edge in this game is just such a high value first item, because you're critting on 1/4 of your auto attacks if you're getting like exactly as lucky as like 25%, and it also gives you a ton more AD than the Stormrazor does, and the burst potential is just massive. So my official take is that people building Stormrazor are doing it wrong if they're building it first, and you should, if you're building crit at all on a marksman, be building Infinity Edge first.
Yeah.
I was waiting for Nano to just be like, "This is a Pepe question." And then
I was thinking that, by the way. I'm not gonna lie.
I knew it. I knew it.
I'm not the biggest. I get an answer, but like I'm not the item guy on C9, right? Like that is totally Pepe tap. That is not. Yeah.
Pepe's your number cruncher. He's the Excel, Google Sheets. Like, all right, guys, here's the pitch deck of like our strategies with all of our numbers. Your analysts, basically.
He's that guy, right? Yeah, but okay, yeah.
Perfect. So I'm already starting off with a small advantage. You love to see it.
Maybe Pepe's in the chat and he can let me know.
Yeah, Pepe, give the answer.
He can clear this one.
Exactly. So mine is going to be, we know confirmed that we have 2 seeds going into Icons Global. I'm going to go under the assumption that there is a third, so we will have 2 teams going into play-ins, but because there's 3 left that are just unannounced, I think that an unsigned organization from North America will make Icons Global.
Okay.
Ooh.
Now, that's pretty easy considering we still have enemy, but you know
I don't know if that's that easy.
That's not exactly.
You have to.
They've changed up their roster, and we have 4, if I'm correct, just off the top of my head, 4 rosters that are with signed organizations. So 4 out of the 8, exactly, half of the group, and that means at least 2 of them will not make it in this prediction.
Suzaku's really good though.
Suzaku's in there. You have Saints. You have Ailish, and why am I forgetting one? And you have enemy.
You already said enemy.
You have 4 exactly. So you have those 4. One of them will make it to Icons Global.
Okay. So, and then I gotta say one of what you 2 are saying is
which
correct.
one?
Which one is more correct?
Okay, so
more correct.
I'll start it. Man, I don't even comment on this, but what do I even say with this? Okay, so I'll start. I think what both of you are saying is pretty grief, from what I know. Right?
Okay, all right.
I think what both of you are saying is.
I think his is way more grief than mine.
Oh man. So, from what I'm aware of, right, Stormrazor is better, right, and that's what we've landed. I don't know what other teams have landed. I can't say for other teams. But where we've landed is that Stormrazor is generally just a better first buy, right? For for whatnot or whatever, right? For most of the time, right? Or nearly all the time. Even Stormrazor as an item is generally cost efficient on champions that are not ADCs as well, right? There's some champions out there. So there is that. Comes to the unsigned organization makes Icons Global. I don't like putting down teams or whatever.
You're
right?
a signed org. Get in there, man. Flame those kids, bro. Show them you're a signed paid position. Come on, man.
I will say there is a difference. There's definitely a difference, and I think it's a lot on the macro point, right? I think a lot of the players can show up at the time, But I think when it comes to the regional, it's not a major anymore. It's not an online, tournament. Once you come to a LAN regional, I think it would be very different to have an organization supporting you, right? And to have that type of backing and expectation. That's why I feel like the signed orgs will have an advantage there when it comes to actually like performing well. But there's always storylines, right? So I won't want to say like it's impossible, because if I do say it's impossible, that's going to jinx my team, and we're going to lose to random people in losers bracket, and it's going to be over. Right?
Random teams.
no one's a random team, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. Of course.
Yeah.
You're losing random games, is what you're saying.
Yeah, and it's gonna, whatnot, right? I think even though it's like unconfirmed how many teams will go, I'm still under the belief there'll be 3.
Yeah,
just where I'm generally at, right? I don't know. It's weird that they haven't confirmed that, but whatever, right?
Yeah.
So we'll see. One thing I was thinking about, by the way, often I know some regions have like a last chance qualifier for icons. I don't know if like for the 3rd seed, right?
Oh,
I don't know if Korea has that.
I know what you're talking about.
So there might be another tournament. I don't know, right?
I don't think there's another tournament. I was gonna say for North America, at least. For North America, we don't know. Maybe Riot is gonna be like last second, like, hey guys, we need people to fill the slot.
With the way that our tournament is structured, you will have a definitive 3rd place and 4th place.
Okay, that is
so
true. That is true.
There will be no need.
So okay, yeah, you are right. So then we'll have to see, but I probably think the more grief one is the Stormraiser. I think that's probably more grief.
Let's
again,
go.
Let me reframe it just one time.
What? Wait.
No. I want to not reframe. Just add another piece of information. The fighting takes less time in this game, and if you crit, you want the crit to deal more damage. So when Infinity Edge gets the crit, it matters more than when Stormraiser gets the crit, even though they're critting the same amount of time. So the burst damage is going to be good.
Okay.
What?
Are you so hold on? I think
I'm getting griefed.
This. So I'll say this, right? If maybe there's I don't know the exact numbers on this, so I may be fine. But if there's a world where you could have Infinity Edge, right? At first time, you're sitting there, you're ready for a fight, and you have Infinity Edge, versus if you have Stormraiser, you may want to have Infinity Edge, right? At a certain fight pace or whatever. I don't know, right?
Yeah.
However, I think one of the differences is I'm pretty sure it's a gold difference, cost difference between the 2 items, right?
Yes, there is. Yeah.
And those cost numbers, especially for competitive, when some of the things, these small things when it comes to costs of first item, is part of the differences between what I think the top teams are versus the lower teams, right? Like
item timer.
Getting your item at the right time, especially for first objective, is extremely important, right? Or if you don't get your item at all, whatever your components are, right? So I think Stormraiser is, again, I don't know the exact numbers on how much each costs, but I'm pretty sure Stormraiser is cheaper cost item.
It is.
Right? And getting that item in time for when the game actually matters is more important than waiting and trying to buy.
I was gonna say, Sam, what you said is literally correct. Like, if I take 100 auto attacks with Infinity Edge versus Stormraiser, I will just do more damage with Infinity Edge over 100. That is not wrong.
You'll actually,
however,
depending on what champion you're playing, that might be wrong, because Stormraiser does have speed.
If you
so you'll get the 100.
Mess that up.
You'll get the 100 autos out faster with Stormraiser. Is the problem?
Maybe.
No, I'm not saying DPS wise. I'm not saying like timer wise. Like, I'm saying like if I have 100 auto attacks like over infinite amount of time, whatever, like I will always do more damage with Infinity Edge on average, I would say. However, like Nano was saying, unless my name is Kaisa and I don't have an and like my all my components like are just there, and I just have components versus a fully finished Stormraiser, and I lose first Drake or I lose first Herald because my AD is griefing me, I'm gonna report you. I'm gonna report you for not taking it's Stormraiser.
I get it. I get it.
Dude, I think I've now won 3 of them in a row. So Sam, you might want to get on that one. You might want to start getting some better.
Go back to the practice tool for my math.
Exactly. All right. Perfect. You love to see it. Nano, thank you. I know this was timing wise pretty weird. We had a couple of technical delays, so I really appreciate you kind of sticking through.
Yeah, I was able to clear a few things before, while we were in this, right? So like, if you still have like a few like questions, whatever, from either mail in or whatever, I'm ready to take them. It's fine. I don't need to jump, but this has been awesome.
Yeah, we have hit an hour. Otherwise, we definitely would with everything
Yeah.
now, and we did hit the mailbag questions that we got before.
Awesome.
But yeah, this has been a great time having you on, Nano. I appreciate the time constraint thing that you're updating us with, because again, we weren't entirely sure like what was going to happen with everything. Again, sorry to everyone who was expecting us to be about a half hour earlier than we ended up going live. Like Dimitri said, we had some delays, but got the show out in the end. So
Woo! It
yeah.
happened.
There
That's
we
the
go.
important part. It almost didn't happen, but it did. So that's really all that matters. We got the episode. Again, Nano, thank you for being on. I'm sure that a lot of people were excited for this episode just because you are the coach of Cloud9.
Yeah.
You're pretty active in the in-house server. If you are somehow a player that is watching that is not actually in the in-house server, just be Grandmaster and you're good to go. You will be added. You just need to PM either Nano or Kimmy. Someone, literally any player, they can get you in and you can start playing in houses. And take part in some good old North American better than solo queue in houses. That's all you gotta do. It's really just it's like a safe haven. You just get out of the matchmaking. We'll take you in. It's good to know you. We'll take all the wildrift refugees to come on through. Nano, where can we find you on Twitter and anything else if you're a content creator?
Yeah. You can find me on Twitter, right? I guess in the in-house server. I haven't really pushed too much on social, right?
Sure.
Socials for the most part, but I do have plans to stream later on, right? Like in like the coming months, and do that more often, like EDU content, stuff like this, right? It's definitely my plans. Of course, right now we're kind of in like crunch time, right? So we're working hard every day to do as well as possible to at the regional. So, but yeah.
I hope you're not looking to stream anytime soon. I mean, you've got. I mean, you guys are gonna win the regionals, and then you guys are gonna go to Icons in Europe. Unless you're gonna do some vlog content, I think your schedule may be a little bit booked.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I'll say this: whoever does end up going to Icons for NA, I think we're gonna do a lot better than people expect, right? At least minimum.
You and Iraqis are both, brother.
Sure. At least a lot better than EU. I'll say that, right? Because contrary to popular belief, we did do better than EU in the most recent tournament. Actually, people don't actually look at the games, but we did. So EU won 2 games that tournament, both versus LAN. Respect to all the LAN players, by the way. But saying, come on,
play in our in-house.
Come on.
We did win more than 2 games. That is actually a fact.
Agreed.
Plus the group was like 3 times harder because the entire group was in quarterfinals. All 4 of the teams that came out.
Yes.
All 4 of the teams that came out.
Happens.
So 10 times harder group, same or more amount of wins, and whatever. You sucks.
You love to see it. You love to see it. Sam, where can we find you? Are you doing anything in the upcoming weeks other than doing League? I don't know.
Waiting for Minnesota, actually. That's not entirely true. I will be in Houston for LCS finals weekend. So
yes,
if anyone out there is also going to be there, hit me up. I will. I'll be watching the games. Me and Dimitri got like front row seats or something. We're like right there. So
super good seats. Thank you to MasterCard for that. So a bunch of announcements. One. If you are going to Minnesota in any time soon for the LCS finals, they'll be hosting a watch party over there. I think it is. I don't remember what the restaurant is. I don't know what studio they're doing it. They just posted it on their Twitter. You can find exactly. They tweeted about. So the Wisdom will be holding a watch party for LCS if you're a fan of League PC over Minnesota and Mall of America. Again. Make sure that you guys can kind of try to come out to Mall of America if you can. If you can't, it'll still be streamed, so you really won't miss all that much. But there'll be like goodies. Apparently, there's like some secret in-person surprise that's going to be happening. I'm a little bit scared about that, but we'll see what happens. I'm hoping it's merch. We'll see. And again, next week, if you want to catch anything for Wild Rift, we will be having another fight night next week. This same time. 7 p.m. EST on this same channel, so make sure you join that. Join the Discord if you haven't already. I've been AlkBattery, Smax. Thank you again to Nano for being here. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you for the production people behind the scenes. And everybody, please be good to each other and have a good night.